Hello, Miss Andrea. How are you? I'm just going to hang it for a little bit and see how many people show. And then we'll chat about turnarounds. Hope everything is good with you. I catch your broadcasts whenever I can. I see them pop up. It's telling me my signal's not that great. I'm hoping it's okay out there when I drop this this little banner. Hopes that everybody hears me and sees me. Let me know if I sound okay out there. That's a good 2/5 line. Messing with guitar is a very amusing thing, isn't it? Keeps you out of trouble. Too common. dropped this little banner. There I am. See what it looks like on YouTube. Should pop up soon. Yeah, that's a photo of I was doing a concert. It was actually after 9/11 for the victims of 9/11, and George showed up, and of course I talked him into jumping in, and back then I had an old L5S and that larger Camp Alone. I said, George, what do you want to play? He goes, oh, give me the big box. So it was a great experience. George is a very generous man, not only with his friendship, wisdom, and as well as his graciousness of jumping on the stage with the likes of me. But it was fun, you know. Funny, back in the day, Berkeley days of going to the jazz workshop, never thinking that this man would be a dear friend. That's pretty exciting. And the fact that he had me as his assistant through a bunch of records, a bunch of his LPs, Tenderly, Big Boss Band, Love Remembers, kind of gave me a little bit of a, kind of like, endorsed me, I guess, made me relevant. See my name on his albums. Anyway, who else is out there? We got about 3 participants. We will wait a little bit longer. We'll wait about another 2 or 3 minutes, and I'm just going to start talking about turnarounds. I printed out a bunch of stuff. I'm working on publishing a segment of books called, and it's going to be called a Theory for the Evolving Guitarist, learning how to visualize guitar. Hey, Jeff. And learn how to visualize guitar as piano players visualize their keyboards. Guitar is a tough instrument to visualize on. It's geographically odd. It's kind of 6 keyboards, for the most part tuned in fourths, except for that second and third string that's tuned in thirds. So my approach is to learn the whole fingerboard, and hey, Clive. Hope all is well with everybody. Jeff, who's on here, will be helping me out with that. But I'm just printing it out now in Sibelius, I guess it's called, and writing, big long explanations, everything from the evolution of a major scale and how it comes and how it lays on the guitar. Fingerings are arbitrary; they don't matter to me. Fingering, in my mind, shouldn't matter to anybody. I know people turn around and say, "Oh, well, when I was playing classical guitar, I used the Segovia fingers." To me, it doesn't matter, And Django Reinhardt proved that. A man that has a melted left hand and 2 fingers that he can operate with. It didn't matter. It's just know where the notes are and the sounds are. Anyway, I'm going to start talking about turnarounds. So, definition of a turnaround. Okay, well, I guess in classical music you could say a cadence. It's something that brings you back from whence you came. It's So in classical music, I guess again it's called a cadence. They had plagal cadences and the amen cadence and things like that. But in modern music and pop music, it's something that gets us from the end of a segment or an end of a section to or the end of a tune back to the top. They are the more you have under your fingers of these, the better. Now, I would be I guess the word's remiss if I didn't say let's start with the world of diatonic harmony and know that 5/1 is a turnaround. You get to an end of a segment, you hit 5, and it's a turnaround or a pickup into a song. It's kind of 5 and it takes you in. If you're doing something like all right, so that's hard times. So that pickup is actually a turnaround. It's taking me to my mama told me, right? So, but we're going to concentrate on the turnarounds that are at the end of sections of music or end of tunes. For the most part, you start out with the diatonic system of 1, then to 5, and it takes you back to 1. So I'm going like this. If I have G major, of course 5 takes me back. All right. That's still very diatonic. Of course, we discussed in the blues is based on dominant chords, which are constant structure, but we still use the 5/1 resolution because that is what's going on in the bass. Okay, so now we move on. We know we can make it 2/5/1 in the turnaround. So here's where we want to land, and we can go very basic. Okay, we can go 1/6 2 5 or 1/6 4 5. That would give us this. Very basic. Now, the next step up would be to start using secondary dominants. What's a secondary dominant? I have a whole section on that. They're dominant seventh chords that lead you to other chords in the primary diatonic system. So in this case, I'm going to use an E7 to take me to the 2 chord. It has a leading tone of the G sharp in it. Brings me to the note A very nicely. And here's what that sounds like. Bringing me back. Okay, so now that's analytically called 1/5/7 of 6. I'm sorry, 1/5/7 of 2, 2 5. Okay, now I'm going to go one step further. Let's do a 3 chord to then the 5/7 of 2 to 2 to 5 to 1. So now we have and I'm using a G6 chord. If you wanted it to be the blues, it could be that. And then you'd have okay, again, very basic stuff, straight from diatonic world. But now I'm going to start talking about dominant sevenths as turnarounds. Now, dominant seventh chords, to me, are the most fun. You can do a lot more because they're constantly in motion. So now let's do it as cycle 5 dominant seventh chord. So now forget about the 2 chord. It's going to be a dominant chord. Forget about, of course, the 5 chord is a dominant chord. The 3 chord is going to be a dominant chord, and the 6 chord is going to be a dominant chord. So now we have this. All right. So now we have unbelievable amount of possibilities. And turnarounds are important. You get enough of them under your fingers, they become You hear them and boom, they just pop out. I'm going to share with you all by the end of this a few of my favorite turnarounds. I mean, they're not so much favorite that I like, you know, shout it from the highest rooftops, but they're favorite in the sense that I guess I use them a lot because I hear them. They pop up in the middle of an improv, whether I'm soloing in chords or if I'm single line soloing over them. These sounds I hear. So like any word you hear when you're having a conversation, you do hear things a microsecond before you say it. And if any of you have ever sang, you know if you're singing words, you hear them in your head, spontaneously before they come out. You may not recognize that, but you do. And the same thing, music being a language, it's the same thing. You do hear them a microsecond before they pop out of your hands. Unless, of course, you are just playing by finger memory and you have a little bit of a disconnect. But for the most part, I would hope that everybody hears it slightly before. If you don't. If you're just like meandering in the mode or you're searching for a good note. Anyway, I got off on a tangent. So here is some possibilities of a turnaround, and I'll explain them as I go through them. Okay? I wrote down, and I will put it on the screen, and we will analyze what I did. Bear with me a second. Okay. Now, hopefully, I'm going to put this over me so you still see my hands. And I will make it smaller. All right, so let me go back to you all on the. I'll move it out of the way, and I'll also do a close up of my hands to show you what's going on. So now I'm talking about turnarounds, making use of flat 5 subs, which are substitutions for the secondary dominants. So the first one up top is very cool. It starts out with a 3 chord. Okay, here's the turnaround. Then I go to here. Now let's analyze that. Give you guys a chance to give you folks a chance to take a look at it on the screen. Okay, and if you see my hands again, it is, and I'll switch cameras. And I'll explain it with this tight camera shot. Okay? B minor 7. And if you look, it's a triad above B minor 7. See it? And then I go to this, which is a dominant 7, flat 9, natural 13. You've seen them. It's a symmetric diminished thing. It's this kind of stuff. Repeats in minor thirds, right? Anyway, here it is. And here's my G. Okay? So again, it's only this on top. And here's the bass notes. And check this out. You're soloing on it. And that brings you back. Let me jump back to my this. And before I move on, I want to see if anybody has any questions about this little quick turnaround. And again, there's a million. You'll find a million of them. These are just ones I pulled out of some of the listening back to some of the things I do, and I went, oh yeah, I use that. Okay, I will pass that on so you guys can make use of it. I'm doing it in the key of G. And another way you can analyze it is 2, 5, 7. 2, 5 of 2 to 2 to 5 to 5, 7 to 1. You know, I mean, there's a million analytical ways. Now, I'm going to go on to the second one. And I have these written out on a fingerboard that'll be popping up here when we get done and we chat more if there's any questions. But I will post them up so you can at least go back on this video and see them if you did not exactly see a good enough angle of my hands. So now let's go to the next one. The next one's, again, it's cycle 5 dominant 7th chords. Now, there's not even a 2-chord or a 3-chord involved in this. And it's you know, I might use it way too much. But here it is. And all this is, here's the 1 chord, so you've ended. So let's say you're doing the blues, and you go here. Now, just like it's cycle 5, this is this, okay? This is this is this, back to 1. Okay? A lot of people scale it down, like Wes would probably go, take the bass note out. And I'll show you what George does. He does this. And he just runs them up, runs them down. Because every minor third, going back to our first time we did live, talking about the minor third principle. So anyway, so that's what that is. Now, going back to playing rhythm changes, which was usually this. Well, it could be this. And now you have all those dominant chords, which give you a pretty full palette of colors to draw from. Okay, so that's number 2 in my top 4 hit list here. And let's go on to number 3, which let me see, did I mix these up on you? Okay, number 3. Here we go. And this one was a direct steal from George. I heard it played the first time, I think, on a turnaround on the tune Tenderly when we were in the studio doing that. And it was so hip. I was just like, I gotta figure what that was, because it's a very, very deceptive turnaround. And I've gotten a lot of mileage from it. So let me just refer to my notes here. Okay. Here's number 3. Here it is again. That is, you know, I mean, work that out in as many places as you can. That was a definite take out of I think one of the turnarounds or Tenderly or somewhere on that record. But let's take a look at what that is. Let's analyze that for a second. Okay, it's a B minor 7, so we're back to using a 3 chord. Okay, then it's a B flat 7 chord, keeping a common tone on the top, very much like one note samba, right? And then keeping the common tone, which is basically a G triad with the C bass, but we're calling it A minor, a 7 with 9 and 11. Okay, and then we just keep the C in the bass, keep the D in the bass, and move these two, the G and the B, up to A flat and C. That's a great, that's a great sound, because you got that second thing up top. So we got, again, it's going to be so that's my number 3. And these can be used anytime you want to turn things around. And if you can get to where you can speak on these chord changes, even if the band doesn't use these changes, which you don't need them to do, you play on them. You all wind up at the same intersection, and it'll make you sound, a whole lot hipper, All right, here's the last one on my number 4. It's not the last one of all, because I could sit here and write a bunch and never stop. I keep coming up with more. And I'll show you some other ditties that are kind of funny about how cycle 5 works and how that minor third principle works. Anyway, here's number 4. Again, it's a 2 chord. Then it's going to go, a 3 chord. Then it's going to go to a flat 3 minor chord, and then 2 flat 5 sub to 1. And it has contrary motion, very hip sounding thing. That means the bass line is going down and the melody line is going up. And here it is. It's number 4 on the hit list. Again. You could even do this. So that's number 4. Let's take a look at it. It's a 3-note voicing, which I'll do a whole live thing about 3-note voicings. And then the next one is a B flat minor 11. And then a full drop 3 A minor 7. And then a A flat 13. And then you can make it go any way you want. I mean, from here, it could resolve to, if you want to go to a G major 7 chord, but we're talking blues right now, so it's not going to go there. For the most part anyway, but it can be, sorry, so those are the 4 turnarounds that I wanted to share with everybody. Hopefully you get them under your fingers and make some good use out of them. They seem to pop up in my playing a whole lot. I hear them in my head, and all of a sudden I'm doing it. Whether I'm soloing in chords or I'm playing single lines, I will refer to those chords, even if the band isn't. Even if I have a very rudimental bass line on a blues that's just going to go 5. Well, I'll play over that. Let me change my camera. And guys, if you remember, don't forget to give me a thumbs up and like this stuff, and pass on the info to other people. Let them join in, and hopefully, when I get the books together, if anybody wants to. I mean, most of us that have gone to Berkeley know some of what is going to be in there, but I have other explanations on helping people understand even the simplest things as key signatures. Anyway, I'm going to remove this from here, and I'm going to give you the first two as this. And if you look, I'll put it back where it was. The blackened out fingerings are the first one to the second voicing. And then number two, the second fingerboard diagram is the third voicing to the fourth voicing. And that's the first one in my hit parade. And then if you look down, number two is the second in the hit parade. I didn't write down anything. I just say you start here, you go up to B flat 13, you go chromatic down. It's cycle 5 dominant 7th chords. So that is that one. I'll leave it up there for a little bit so you guys can take a closer look at it. I think the camera work was better this time. You could see my hands, you know. So, so that's that one. Now, that's been up enough. I will give you number 3, and I will lose number 1 and 2. And here is number 3, which is the one I robbed from Tenderly, actually, I think. It was a long time ago. Tenderly record was, what, 89? So that's this one. Okay. I'll leave that up there for a few more seconds. And last but not least, number 4. When I get this book established, there'll be a whole lot more about turnarounds. I'm just giving everybody a little taste of what, what's there, of things that I've just discovered. So this is the contrary motion one. And it's this. Just as I was doing that, I heard something else. There's another one. That's number 5, but I didn't notate that out for everybody. So that's working on turnarounds. When I have the opportunity to, I prefer taking turnarounds to be dominant 7th chords. Because then you can always put the 2 that travels with that dominant 7th chord and make little mini chord progressions of 2-5, within them. So what that could have been was this. If this one, you could have went and you put the 2 chord in front of it. Make little micro progressions within a progression. Or you can use just a flat 5 sub for those dominant chords. So that would be. It just gives you so many colors, on your palette when you're trying to paint with these things. So, anyway, that one's up there quite a while, so I think we're good with that. Hopefully we are. I will lose that. Is there any questions or any things that you need from me while we're sitting here chatting to kind of clarify the world of turnarounds? If you go back last week, and you can see I used turnarounds on those little evolutions of the blues, because that's all, you can do to elaborate on the targeted areas of the 3 chords of a blues, is to just add more turnarounds that take you from, through the changes and back to whence you came. So, hopefully, these work for you. Now, here's something that is back to that cycle 5 dominant 7 thing of understanding that these chords repeat themselves every minor third, just like a diminished concept. But here's something that has been right in front of your face, and you may have realized it, and you may not have. Let's just start with a G triad. Okay, here's a G triad. Let's change my camera angle. Here's my G triad. Okay. Now, I'm going to keep the G, and I'm going to move the other two notes and descend. And go back to G. Or you can do it the other way. Now let's analyze what that was. It's G, E flat 7, because G and B flat are the same chord, right? If you go in the minor third. So now we go G, G or B flat, okay? And then we go E flat, D sus, back to G. Now, that's just one place. Everywhere there's a G triad, do that. Okay? Any inversion. Sounds like a pedal steel thing, all right? Let's find G here. So, I mean, and you could do the reverse of that, which is the bassy ending. It's just going all turnarounds, all dominant seventh chords. So, that's a fun thing to work out everywhere on the instrument, and that's just a basic triad. Now, you can do it singly. I went from here, so I went C7, and this, okay, is a B flat 7, which is really the same as a G7 that takes you back to C. So watch. So you can have fun and games with those. And you can do it in the reverse. So that just took me from C7 to F. Oh, look. Here's the same thing, minor third. And it's all turnarounds. They're all turnarounds. So, and you can use them, whether it's being very elaborate like we did before with these things, which is far more denser harmony, or something if you're doing it like an R&B gig and you just want to go. That makes more sense. Sounds right. As a turnaround. Started C7. So those are all turnarounds. It can be done in the down home blues. It can be done in the swing blues. It could be done, you could be doing it on an R&B tune. I find myself on gigs, on occasion singing some Van Morrison tunes and some Delbert tunes and some George tunes, and playing along with them. And sometimes, you're playing a pretty basic down home blues and that kind of stuff. I heard something there. Anyway, I'm getting carried away with all these little chicken picking things. So, any questions on any of the turnaround stuff that we chatted about? I mean, you can go back and forth and take a look at it and shoot me questions on it. But turnarounds, I'm going to play a few set of changes through a blues, and I'll try to make use of some of these different turnarounds strategically, and I'll try to implement them in this. Here we go. Turn around to the 2 chord. There's that one. I used that one twice. Oh, here's that one again. What didn't I use? Oh, here we go. That time I was pretty deliberate. Triads. So I tried to throw them in there. Sometimes I was like, oh, I heard it want to go somewhere else, and I kind of cornered myself at the end of the, out on a limb, because I attempted to want to implement the ones that I just showed you today. But those are that in the swing blues. But any of those can be used. I mean, if I'm doing a standard tune, you could put them in there, any turnaround, and you can make any turnaround all dominant 7th chords. The issue is that it's really just a 1 to 5 to bring you back, and you can implement those turnarounds to bring you back. I'm trying to think of straight ahead standard that it's like that. What tune is that? Here we go. Some folks like to get away, take a holiday from the neighborhood. That's that tune. Anyway, I used it there at the end of a standard. I just, I didn't want to resolve the tune, even though I think that tune does this at the end, which brings you back. He goes 2-5 to 5, right? E minor 7, A7, because I'm doing the key G, and then he goes to the 5 chord. That's traditionally off the record, but anyway, so that made use of them. during kind of a standard tune. That's a fun tune. I mean, if you think about it, those changes are very similar to Georgia, 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 Georgia. Right? Here's a turnaround I took of all dominant seventh chords. That originally I think I heard played by Jerry Reed, and that was with open strings going. So let's think about that for a second. It's A7 flat 9. So could you do that? Let's use that in New York State of Mind. Sorry. Anyway, I'm losing myself in these things and trying to get little fun things to put them in. But that I think that was Jerry Reed did that or something similar to that in Hallelujah, I Just Love Her So. Hallelujah, I just love her so. Let me tell you about the gal I know. Hallelujah, just so. Anyway, all turnarounds. So the more you link those things up, the better. I will. Let me see if I'm close up. I'll show you that little Jerry Reed thing. That here it is again. If I don't know what camera was on, but he originally I think did it like this. I might have done it in A flat too. And here it is if you want to think of the full chords. A7 flat 9, moving up chromatic to the B. He goes to here to the 4 chord, but it's a sharp 4 diminished chord, then to a D sus to 1. Here it is in time. Anyway, Jerry Reed was a very tasteful guitar player for sure, and a great finger picker. I tried to do his on my first CD, a jazz version of a song called "The Claw." I used an upright bass player, Cameron Brown, and I think we did it okay. But there's no one touches Jerry Reed. I had a friend that passed away that I did a few concerts. In fact, the concert that's behind me with George, there was a guitar player there. A bunch of guys from Nashville. Tom Bresh, who was Merle Travis's son, and there was a guitar player there named Buster B. Jones, and he was like Jerry Reed on steroids. And if you want to check out a cat that had that going on, there's a lot of YouTube of Buster B. Jones. He passed away too young of a man, and but great player, awesome player, and in fact, just a little quick story about that picture behind us. Before George was getting up and I was doing my set, Buster was before us, and George showed up, and the funny part was I'm going to change cameras here so you can see that thing. So George showed up, and then the buzz got that George was going to be sitting in with me, so they were rushing Buster through his set, which was an amazing set. So he winds up with his closing tune. I think it was The Claw. He did it. He goes, well, I guess I'm going to have to like put this on hyper speed. So he does it like at a supersonic tempo. On I think he had a Godin, either a Godin or a Kurt Sands. I think it was a Godin. And he just played the hell out of it. And even George said, how do we follow that? But anyway, those are fun stories to reminisce upon. But check him out, Buster B. Jones. Give thumbs up on this. Get people to subscribe. That'd be great. I'm happy to share this stuff. I'm sorry if I meandered a little bit too much and fooling around with things, but this is all fun. Certainly fun for me. Any questions on any of this stuff that we were chatting about? Clive said one of those was number 3 was his favorite. Which one was number 3? That is one. That shows up a lot. You go listen to some of the quick little solo ditties that I post. You'll hear that. It shows up. It shows up in my playing a lot. I like that one. So next time, I don't know. Next Thursday, maybe we'll talk about chromatics, indirect resolutions. I have a bunch of lists of things I'd like to share. And I'll keep everybody posted on my on the booklets I'm putting out. I got to get a cover page for some of them, and I can show you briefly what they might entail. But it covers. Maybe I'll just read it. It covers everything from the creation of a major scale onto of course, intervals and chord construction. That's all in the first one, but I elaborate on a lot of it. Number 2 is a diatonic harmony system, diatonic function, which is important, about the 5-to-1 in the Berkeley days. Is subdominant to dominant to tonic, and I grouped the subdominant and dominant together, and I'll talk about that. Expanding the diatonic harmony, we did a little bit of that today. We're talking about secondary dominance and 2/5s. Phase 4 is a tritone substitute, and it's related 2 chord. Then so all of these we've touched upon: the diminished chords and the dominant symmetry, melodic resolutions, traditional pentatonic. We touched about that the first time I did it in the dominant 5/7. Phase 7 is chord voicings. We all know 4-way close, drop 2, drop 3, and then how I take a note out of those to make them a 3-note voicing. And the last phase is chatting, is going to be elaborating on the jazz melodic minor and its harmonies and the harmonic minor. But those are my phases. I've touched upon many of those topics in my live stuff because it's all part of everything. So, what else can I talk about with turnarounds? I think I gave everybody a lot of stuff to mess with. Any questions? Pop them out there. Just again, give us a thumbs up. Tell friends to subscribe, and you can go back and reiterate all of this hysteria that I've chatted through. And thank you guys and ladies for popping in. There it is. All right, well, I'll see everybody hopefully next week. Are we all good? Everybody good? I'm just going to sit here and dabble a little bit behind the guitar, and if anybody has any questions, I'll just. If not, I'll give it about another 2 minutes, and then I'll sign off. Thank you guys for being here. Okay, everybody. See you next week. I hope. Stay well, stay safe, keep swinging.